Mary Kay, let's start with you. What have you learned about the Browns in the first 4 games of the season?
Well, if you want to start offensively, I would say that one of the things that they've learned is that it's going to take Baker Mayfield a little while to get up to speed in this offense. And while they're waiting for that to happen, I think, that's when they've really been relying more on the running game. And that's been the focus so far. I think that that will change as they go along. I think there will be a little bit more of a balance, but as of right now, they're running it more than they're passing it. And I attribute that to them playing to their strengths and giving Baker Mayfield an opportunity to come up the learning curve a little bit.
I think the Baker thing is really interesting to me because obviously the numbers aren't blowing you away. He's been very efficient. And then I go back and watch that Dallas game, and there were a couple moments, especially with Odell, where he got rid of the ball so quickly that it almost didn't allow for a receiver to finish his route or get open. There were moments where Odell came wide open, but Baker had already gotten rid of the ball. I'm thinking if you go back and look in that 4-minute drill towards the end, there's one where Odell just came wide open. It would have been a touchdown. There was another one in the first quarter. So it seems like the emphasis with Baker has been, let's get that ball out quickly, right? Which is one of his strengths. And it's resulting in very efficient performances, not huge performances. They are leaning on that run game, but it does make me think, Scott, that there is still a lot more there with Baker than what we've seen.
I think, he can always get better efficiency-wise. But I think this is what we're going to see from Baker. I think we have to start maybe measuring him differently than we would have in the past, just because of what he is supposed to be in this offense. I think like 20 to 29 attempts, that's 20 of 29. That would be like the perfect game in this offense. A completion percentage over 60. If he's throwing 38 times for 350 yards, something went wrong. And I think it's clear that everybody's still kind of learning because they're in 4 games into this weird season. But I don't think that we're going to see a shift where Baker Mayfield's carrying this offense. It's going to be run first. They're going to end up with more rushing attempts than passes by the end of the season. And, Baker Mayfield, maybe he'll get 3,000 yards.
I think this weekend is going to be a good test to kind of see where he's at. Now, again, I think we might all agree on the fact that perhaps the Colts defense they haven't really played, even though they're the number 1 ranked defense right now, they haven't played the best of the best. So chances are they're not really technically the best defense in the NFL, or maybe even the best defense that the Browns are going to see this season, but they're pretty good. And so I think that this weekend, it's going to be really interesting to see how Baker functions against a defense that leads the NFL with points allowed, I think 11 something, that leads the NFL in yards allowed, rushing yards allowed, 7 interceptions. So they're getting their hands on some footballs. He's being really careful now. But I think we're going to have a little bit better of a handle on him this week than we did last week. I think that was, that defense was very challenged, and there were just things wide open for him to just go out there and have a little bit of a field day.
Yeah, the Cowboys have the worst ranked defense. They're going from the worst to the best. And again, it's only 4 games, but that's where they stand at this point. So it's going to be quite a difference, I think.
We know what this team is. This team has a very clear identity. And I thought it was really impressive on Sunday. And of course, Dallas' defense stinks, but the Browns imposed their will in that football game. And I feel like I've been able to say that about this offense a couple times already this season, where I've looked and said they knew what they wanted to do and they went out and did it. Whether the defense they played was good or bad, they went out and they dominated that game offensively. I'm thinking about the Cincinnati game. Obviously that was a close game, but that was mostly on the defense. And then of course this Dallas game where they opened up that 41-14 lead. There is a real identity like we thought there would be. And I think it's really impressive they've been able to do that so quickly, considering they didn't have anything in the spring and they didn't have much of a training camp.
Now, one of the other things to consider, I think, about this offense, and we are going to know a little bit more about it going forward, is that so far, and especially in the last 2 games, they've been set up with such great field position. I mean, they've started so many drives in the opposition's territory. And, you know, they're leading the NFL with 10 takeaways. They have had 8 takeaways in the last 2 games. They've scored a league high 45 points off of those takeaways. And Baker has been consistently starting drives in the opponent's territory. And I think that has helped him tremendously.